Hello, my name is Braden Leahy, and today I will be discussing with you Brazil's preparations for the 2014 FIFA World Cup and the 2016 Rio Summer Olympics. Now, the first event that we're going to be discussing is the 2014 FIFA World Cup, which started on June 12th of 2014 and ended on July 13th of 2014. Now, Brazil won the bid for the FIFA World Cup back in October of 2007, and they were the only bidders for the games. Brazil has hosted the tournament once before this time, and that was back in 1950. Brazil brought an excellent presentation to FIFA, and the World Cup was supposedly going to make a huge impact on Brazil. 12 stadiums were to be built for the World Cup, and construction began back in 2010. However, even though construction began 4 years before the tournament was supposed to take place, half of the stadiums did not meet FIFA deadlines, and the FIFA deadline was set for the end of December of 2013. Since they had a short time to finish the stadiums, Brazil was rumored to have cut corners for completion. Construction workers even defended this claim by saying that the workplace was deemed unsafe and that some of them have even went without pay. Now here I have a map of the 12 venues that were used for the FIFA World Cup and where they were located. Now, the reason why construction workers deemed the construction sites unsafe was because of all the deaths that took place during construction. There was a total of 8 deaths that took place. Now, I have included 3 out of the 8 in this presentation. The first one was on June 11th of 2012, when a worker fell to his death during stadium construction in Brasilia. On November 27th of 2013, 2 workers died from a crane collapse at the Sao Paulo Stadium. And then on December 14th of 2013, a worker fell to his death at the Manaus Stadium. Now, there were also many problems with the projects set for the FIFA World Cup. Many of the projects were either downsized or even stopped. When players and fans arrived for the World Cup, they were welcomed with many unfinished projects, and some of these unfinished projects included incomplete transport systems and even unfinished airports. There were also many projects that hadn't even started. Some of these projects that weren't started were roads and a high-speed train between Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. 5 out of the 35 planned urban mobility rails were not even completed, and fans had to use taxis and buses to go to the games in the city center. Now, security was questioned a month before the World Cup was supposed to take place. And the reason why it was questioned was because of recent protests and violence that occurred in Rio. Police had planned to distribute brochures on how to prevent being robbed to visitors for the World Cup. About 170,000 security officers would be on hand in the 12 host cities. President Dilma Rousseff said she would deploy the military if needed. Now we are going to discuss the Rio 2016 Olympics, which started on August 5th of 2016 and ended on August 21st of 2016. Rio won the bid back in 2009 for the Rio Olympics, and they had beat 3 other countries for the bids. This was going to be the first time that the Olympics had been held in South America. The International Olympic Committee had said that Rio's bid for the Olympics had no flaws in it. Rio spent $13.1 billion on the Olympics, and this was paid by a mixture of public and private money. The Olympic venues were to be clustered into 4 different zones, and half of the athletes could reach venues in under 10 minutes, and about 75% of the athletes could reach venues in under 25 minutes. There were to be 34 competition venues. Brazil needed to build 14 new venues, and once again, Brazil had begun to run behind schedule. Just a year before the Olympics, there was still much that needed to be done. Many of the new venues had not even taken shape, and planned road system, bridges, underpasses, and bus lines had not even begun construction. Villa Autodromo neighborhood was set to be demolished near the Olympic Park, and this neighborhood was also home to 200 people in 50 houses. Authorities had convinced most of the citizens to move and accept the compensations for their movement. However, some refused to move, and then this started violent protests. Now, the Deodoro district in Rio was set to host several events. However, this district used to be a training ground for the military. So before construction could even begin, workers had to check the land for explosives. And once again, Deodoro was running behind on schedule. Now here I have a picture of the completed Olympic Park in Rio de Janeiro. And the next picture I have is a map of all the venues in Rio. And these are in this map shows the 4 different zones in which the events were going to take place. Now, security was once again a concern for Brazil. Police officers were protesting during the Olympics, and they were protesting because of unpaid wages and bad working conditions. Rio de Janeiro asked for federal funding for security, and the focus for security this year was for ISIS-inspired attacks. Just a couple of weeks before the Olympics, 12 people had been arrested for suspected planning of a terrorist attack on Brazil. And the Security Secretary for Brazil deployed over 85,000 police officers and soldiers in Rio. The armed forces played a bigger role than expected in the Olympics. A security contractor had dropped its plans to help with security in the Olympics. The contractor was supposed to provide 3,000 employees to work security. However, the contractor was replaced because they had only registered 500 employees to help with the Rio Olympics security. Now, security around the Olympic torch had to even be tightened. And this reason was because protesters had distinguished the torch and forced the torch to alter its course. The protesters were angry over salaries being delayed and poor health services. And now here I have my works cited for my presentation. I would just like to thank you for listening to my presentation on Brazil's preparations for the World Cup and the Summer Olympics. Thank you.